while making a meaningful statement about life itself. I said to a student at the University of the Philippines in Manila, who stood up at the end of one of my talk and shouted out and said, everything in life is meaningless. I said, you don't believe that? He said, I do. I said, no, you don't. He said, yes, I do. I said, you don't. He said, who are you to tell me I don't? I said, stand up and say it again. He said, everything in life is meaningless. I said, I assume that you assumed that what you just said was meaningful. And if what you just said was meaningful, then everything is not meaningless. On the other hand, if everything is meaningless, then what you've just said is meaningless too. You basically said nothing. You can sit down.
So there is meaning in life because you can't deny what everything you say must have meaning or else there isn't. And one of the things that is more meaningful to everybody and to everybody that has to face this question, and the question that the topic that I'm going to talk about is the question, does God exist? This question requires an affirmation or a denial to it. And the importance of this question is tremendous. I made 3 points. 1 point, what one believes about God affects everything else he or she believes. Belief in God can help us answer the 5 fundamental questions in life. The first one, origin, where did we come from? Identity, who are we? Meaning, why are we here? Morality, how should we live? And destiny, where are we going? Third point, if there is a God and there's a plan and a purpose for our lives, it is very important that we know what it is so we can start living it. The main points that I'm going to talk about, first I'm going to explain the 3 explanations that only philosophical reasoning could explain for the account for the existence of the universe. Then I'm going to explain the cosmological argument that gives us the best explanation for the existence of the universe and what this first cause is like. I'll talk about what the first cause is. And then the interview with John Nohore, can't pronounce his last name. So the first point, the 3 explanations of the universe. Since no one can deny the existence of the universe, it's here. What is the explanation? Where did this universe come from? One explanation says that this universe is merely an illusion, that it's just a figment of our imagination, that really doesn't exist. But people who say this really don't believe it. And if people say they believe it, really don't live it out. For example, if somebody says, I believe the universe is an illusion, and they're walking in the middle of the freeway, they're not going to say, these cars are just an illusion, they're really not going to hit me. No, they're really going to hit them, they're really going to die, reality hits them, and so they can't live it out. If you believe the universe is an illusion, and you live it out, you wouldn't survive for 24 hours. So the universe is an illusion, it just gets ruled out in the face of reality. Second point says that the universe sprang out of nothing, that it just appeared out of random chance. This obviously violates the law of causality, the law of cause and effect, that says that nothing comes from nothing, nothing ever could. And they try to bring power into chance, like if chance is some kind of an agent or something. They say, well, look at this quarter, it's 50-50 that it's gonna be turning out heads. And they say it's chance, see, chance has power. But does it have anything to do with how strong I hold the quarter, how much force I push up, how many rotations it makes, the wind if it's blowing faster, did I catch it this way, or did I catch it lower, did I turn around, Aren't these the factors and the variables that contribute for it to turning heads? How much chance is important in here? Chance is nothing. There is no power in chance. So the second one gets ruled out just basically for the law of causality. Third explanation says that the universe is eternal and self-existent, that it didn't need a cause, that it never began to exist because it always been here and it always will be here. This violates another law in physics, the second law of thermodynamics, which states that the universe is running out of usable energy. So, if the universe was eternal, according to the second law of thermodynamics, it would have died an eternity ago. So it doesn't stand up to the laws of physics. Now this is the cosmological argument. One must pay very close attention to this argument. This is the cosmological argument that argues for the existence of God. Premise 1 says everything that begins to exist had a cause. This is the law of causality. Anybody who tries to deny this law is actually denying rationality, because the process of rational thinking requires us to gather thoughts, the causes, to draw a conclusion, the effects. If somebody tells you, I don't believe in the law of causality, simply ask them, what caused you to come to that conclusion? We know this law is undeniable. Therefore, premise 1 is true. Premise 2 says the universe began to exist. Now, this, apart from the philosophical evidence to demonstrate this is true, there is scientific evidence that the universe did begin to exist, and it did have a beginning. This was what scientists call the Big Bang. Let's take a look at Einstein's theory of general relativity. One of the things that this theory says is that all time, all space, and all matter had a definite beginning. And if it had a beginning, that means it had a cause, according to the law of causality, premise 1. And when this discovery was made, there was predictions about it. At first, Einstein didn't want it to be true, but because he wanted the universe to be eternal, not relying on an outside cause. But of course, it appeared to be a giant effect. Once this theory was discovered, there was predictions made about it. And a good theory with predictions and then observations after that makes it more valid. The universe is expanding. In 1927, Edwin Hubble observed the expanding universe. The cosmic radiation background, the great galaxy seeds. All of these were predictions later observed. And later, as scientists and NASA and cosmologists learn more and more about the universe, the more and more this theory becomes true. There's actually 5 scientific lines of evidence to demonstrate that the universe did have a beginning. So that leads us to the conclusion. Therefore, the universe had a cause. And now, what is the cause of the universe? It has to be something outside of time, outside of matter, outside of space. What's outside of time? That's an easy answer. The eternal. The eternal has no time, has no limits, and that is what we call God. God is the eternal, self-existent, timeless, non-spatial, immaterial being. In other words, He is without limits, or He's infinite. Another thing, this being has to be unimaginably powerful to create a universe out of nothing. You know what nothing is? Aristotle had a good definition of what nothing is. He said, nothing is what rocks dream about. So out of what rocks dream about, God created the universe. That's unimaginably powerful. Another thing is that this being has to be supremely intelligent in order to create a universe with such precision to create design and to sustain complex life as we know it. And another thing, this being has to be personal, because in order to choose to convert a state of nothingness into a time-space universe, one must make a choice. And impersonal forces don't have the ability to make choices. My interview with John Joroke, who has a master's in philosophy, a master's in theology, a master's in New Testament studies, and works for Rabbi Zachariah's International Ministry, says that this first cause has the attributes, the same ones that Christians have defended since the beginning. It's the God that demonstrates from the God of the Bible. He says that one can even have a personal relationship with this being, that this being has revealed himself through the Bible and has shown himself through the life and work of Jesus Christ. Personally, I believe in the same thing because Jesus Christ has demonstrated that He was, through His deity, that He was the undeniable creator of all, through the irrefutable fact of His resurrection. So what did I talk about today? I explained the three explanations that don't stand up to scrutiny, and the only one that comes up through in an age of scientific enlightenment, that it did have a cause. And we know this cause had to be all these attributes that I attributed from Him. Then we saw John, who has a personal relationship with His being. One last thing in conclusion, we must all face. If there is no God, we all have to answer this question. If there is no God, why is there something rather than nothing? Why do we have something? Something undeniably exists now. Why, if there is no God, why is there something rather than nothing? Either someone created something out of nothing, or no one created something out of nothing. Which view is more reasonable? If you can't believe that no one created something out of nothing, then my friend, you don't have enough faith to be an atheist.
Okay, questions! You're the lucky person who gets to ask. Monica! Or anyone can go ahead and then if you want to chime in.
Do you have a good relationship with your source?
John Joroke? Yeah, I actually just met him like 3 months ago, and I learned that he worked for Rabbi Zachariah. Rabbi Zachariah is the guy in the video, and he's one of the leading defenders of the Christian faith around the world. So it was really a pleasure to meet him.
So, you believe that Christianity is the only right religion because Jesus has said that He was resurrected?
Right, through the fact of His resurrection. If somebody has power over death, then I'm going to place my faith in them.
So you believe that Islam Judaism and all that religion is wrong?
Well, the cosmological argument doesn't like exclude Islam and Judaism, because Islam and Judaism also have the same attributes of the first cause that I talked about. But looking toward the evidence for the Quran and for the Torah and stuff, then you draw conclusions based on the evidence.
Seems like when you were talking, you feel strongly about what you believe in. Are you Christian?
Yeah.
Or are you Catholic?
No, well, I'm Catholic.
Other questions? Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I got
Okay, another question? Go ahead. We have time.
Oh, what made you want to talk about this? What made you want to talk about this?
What inspired you?
Yeah,
to
what
talk
inspired
about it?
you?
Well, I just know that a lot of people are having trouble with this question, and then this is the true reality that I've experienced.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
I thought that's why they're going to be so special.
Good question.